All right, so yesterday I watched a video which basically showed the GB rowing men's intense training camp in the lead up to the 2020 Olympics. Now, if any of you have done rowing before, all right, rowing is no joke. Okay, rowing is a disgusting sport in the sense that I have never done anything which pushes me more out of my comfort zone than actually doing rowing. Okay. And so the thing with rowing is it's just physical hell. Okay. And especially when you're training at an elite level, and I trained to a pretty good standard, right? It was only schoolboy rowing, but it was intense, all right? I was training like a bloody professional. We were training twice a day, every day in the morning. We were doing rowing tests, 2K rowing tests, 5K rowing tests. And if you've ever done a 2K rowing test, as hard as you can, you will understand that you actually start knocking on death's door. And so if you just look at some of these fellas training here, I think they were at their camp in Sierra Nevada camp in Spain. So they were training at altitude. Okay, so you can see these dudes doing the rowing test, and they're literally almost hospitalized. Okay, so look at that. This dude had to be put into the recovery position because he is training so hard. Okay, so this just brings back absolute PTSD for me. Like, you can see these guys are not joking around, and they're just pushing extremely, extremely hard. There's doctors on hand. Okay, so then basically you just see these guys training, and they're in the lead up to the Olympics. Okay, so this is basically people who are performing at an elite level. This is elite level performance. This is at the top of the game. All right, the Olympics is no joke. And so the reason I'm showing you this, all right, is I'm actually showing you a level of commitment to something that is required to be the best. Okay, so the men's rowing team for GB are known as one of the best teams there is. Okay, so they obviously have a team around them that's helping them train their bodies to like the absolute extreme, so that when they do get to the Olympics, their chances of winning are incredibly high. There's also this interview with this guy here, and he just starts sharing about his family and how he's sacrificing, and he's doing this so he can put a medal over his kid. All right, so just look at this for a second.
Yeah, like like your friends and family, they're always just, they're so like happy and everything that you're just there, but like it's like hanging a medal. So I'm actually getting quite emotional now.
Okay, so I'm tearing up right now too. Okay, and you can see the amount of sacrifice these dudes are going through. They are killing themselves in the gym. They are training every single day, twice a day. They are eating to the best of their ability. They are, this guy, look, he says he missed out on weddings. He missed out on family events. He misses out on all of these things. These guys are in the trenches sacrificing everything because they have a goal and a shared outcome that they are driving towards. But these guys are performing on an elite level. All right. And so when you look at the way that you are showing up in your business, are you actually playing at a level that's high enough to get you to where you want to be going? Okay, most of the time we are not putting in enough effort. We're not actually giving ourselves enough quality time to focus on the things that we need to be doing. Plus, we're not actually, most of the times people are not actually investing in coaches and people who can actually help them do these things. You're not putting yourself in an environment where success becomes inevitable. Okay, and so if you are not in an environment like this where you're performing on a high level every single day, how are you ever going to achieve extraordinary results? Okay, so we can learn a lot from Olympic athletes. We can learn a lot from athletes who are performing at their top. Okay, and so when the going gets tough in your business, when you wake up and you're having a shitty day, okay, where do you go to in your mind? Do you go and retreat back to the comfort zone? Do you go back to the familiar? Do you go back to scrolling on your phone or watching TV and having that sort of dopamine hit so it feels familiar? Or are you actually committed to something, and actually are you going to break through that pain barrier? Are you going to do the work that is required of you, even when it feels uncomfortable? All right. Now, that doesn't mean don't enjoy yourself. That doesn't mean do cool things. All right. Even these dudes, they have downtime, they're playing cards, they're doing Scrabble and all of this stuff. But when it comes to work, these guys are dialed in. Okay, they are going so hard and pushing themselves so far out of the comfort zone that, you know, they're being put into the recovery position. Okay, and I think they have to eat anywhere upwards of 8,000 calories a day. Okay, so anyway, they have their nutrition dialed in, they got their sleep dialed in, they got their coaching dialed in, they're in a fantastic environment, and they are able to push themselves out of their comfort zone and perform like Olympic athletes, because they are. So how can you start performing like a high performance athlete in your own life? Now, that doesn't mean you have to go and jump to the flipping Olympic stage level here. I'm just saying, if you're serious about what you're doing, if you want to achieve extraordinary results, you have to put yourself in extraordinary places. You have to give yourself the ability to grow, for your brain to expand and develop new behaviors. Okay? Because every single time you start something new, every single time you put a new behavior in place, it's going to feel shit because your brain isn't rewarding you with dopamine. And so there's prediction errors happening. Your brain hasn't been there before, and therefore it sucks. It feels uncomfortable because there's no dopamine coming. However, here's the kicker. And this is the reason most people will never achieve extraordinary results in their life, is that the time it takes you to develop a new habit and a new set of behaviors, it might be 6 months, it might be 12 months. Look at these dudes, they train for 4 years leading up to Olympic Games. Okay, but eventually your brain will learn a new pattern. Your brain will learn a new behavior. And whether that new behavior is selling, marketing, business, it's the way that you interact with people, it's stopping positioning for approval. Okay, once you do that behavior enough through repetition, your brain creates new neurons, your brain starts firing in a different way, and you start getting rewarded through dopamine hits for doing things that are actually driving you towards the goals, as opposed to destructive behaviors. Because destructive behaviors are still rewarded by your brain because they are familiar. Whether it is watching Netflix, having arguments with your spouse, smoking cigarettes, whatever it is, your brain's going to reward you with dopamine if it is the familiar. But you have to be able to go a long period of time before you can start getting that dopamine hit for positive behaviors. All right. Shout out the GB men's rowing team. I think they got bronze. Okay. I think they got bronze. I had to Google it and see what they got. But, you know, watching this just made me think, flipping hell. You know, even I need to start performing better. All right. I need to start being braver and actually putting myself in these situations, being like, I'm training like an Olympic athlete for my business, all right, and for my life. That's how I want to show up. That's what I want to do. So shout out the GB men's rowing team. You guys are beasts. But yeah, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. See you next time.